I'm curious, how long did it take you to write the book? And during that time, what is the most surprising thing that you discovered that wasn't even on your radar?
Well, yeah, we talked about time. Time is the biggest challenge, right? In time management. And I was a case study and just how poorly I managed the time and how much time is a problem, honestly. So as a professor, you have these moments in your career where you get to take a break from teaching to focus on your research career. And so I was in one of those moments of a sabbatical. Um, and I had had a baby also. Well, sorry, let me back up and say I had a sabbatical, and I thought, oh, for my sabbatical project to focus on research, I want to take all the research that we've done over 20 years and write a book that non-scientists would enjoy, and that takes the science and shows the importance for everyday people with the important goals that we're all trying to work towards. And a friend of mine had set me up with some connections to help ease that whole process of going from writing the ideas to writing the book to having it published. So I already felt like I've got a foot in the door here, working with an agent. And I just thought, like, I have 15 months. I can come up with a proposal. The agent can sell the book to a publisher. It'll get out there. I'll write it. It'll be done. It'll be wonderful. 15 months can totally do that. At the end of 15 months, I didn't even have a proposal that the agent said was worth trying to put out to the world. I had written 9 different proposals. Each of them was 100 pages single spaced. And with each iteration, I scrapped 80% of the one that came before it.
Wow.
And I just couldn't figure out, like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, why aren't any of these ideas like sticking with him? It was learning a whole new language, honestly, to write for different audiences, and to write a proposal rather than a book also is another like layer of translation that I was still learning. But all of which is to say, like, I had given myself 15 months, and like I had barely gotten out of the starting gates with this process. And I had a baby. So the baby was a month old. I was reading through my contract, trying to see, like, how can I get out of this contract with this agent? This is just not working. How can I break this contract? It didn't work for me. Okay. Um, and the agent called and said, I sold your book today. I sold the proposal today. What? I thought you didn't even like it. And he said, take this phone call. You have a couple hours to decide if you're gonna take the deal.
A couple
And
hours.
yeah, yeah, a couple hours. It's an exploding offer by the end of the day. It's take it or leave it. And this is the opportunity. And I was like, holding the baby. Okay, let me see. Trying to dial my husband, trying to dial a friend. Like, what? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And my friend had just said, like, whatever you do, if you take this deal, just make sure you don't have to write a book in the first 12 months of your baby's life. So the publishing house said, you have 12 months. You have the first 12 months of your baby's life to write this book. And I was like, oh, but this is the opportunity. So it was so poorly, like, life was so poorly timed. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and I love the book at the end of the day, but it was a slog. It was a hard slog with,
Right.
unforeseen challenges. Like, I didn't realize that I couldn't, that it would take so long with the agent, and that the opportunity would come at what other people have said was the absolute worst chance in your change of life here to make this happen. Um, but I did. I did make it happen. Another funny thing is just like, there's a contract, you have to write 90,000 words. I wrote 60,000 words. And then I thought, oh, there's that whole back end stuff where you put where your sources are and all of that. And so that's like probably a 30,000 words. So, but I didn't feel like I could go to the publisher and be like, is that like 60,000 words with the reference section? That just felt like, it's like what some of my very young students do to me. Like, how many pages? Can it be like triple spaced? It's like, oh, now I get why the students say this to me. And you're like, just write the ideas. Come on, don't be so concerned, whatever.
Right.
And my friend who had gone through this before was like, no, you have to write 90,000 words of a story. Okay. Like, no, you don't get to count the index at the back. But that was so amazing because I had written the science and I still had a third of the book to go. And so that's when I just got to do what is the most fun part of it, which is just tell all the stories of the people like the Michael Phelps story, and I don't even know, 50 more stories like that of these incredible people that I live in this amazing city of New York City, where people are just so different. There's so many different life experiences that are reflected here. And I got a chance to meet a lot of people who are doing incredible things, who all use some aspect of the strategies that the science says would be helpful. Some of them knew those strategies would be working. Oftentimes they didn't. And it was just one of their fortuitous, elements of success, is that they happen to use something that science also shows is a useful tool for meeting goals. And so it's not, that's what made the book so fun, was just that it's, the science, and the science has utility for real people accomplishing really amazing things. Like, for example, I was speaking at an event where it was like a crazy cocktail party in a really beautiful loft in Soho, and like people were showing up who were magicians and who had business cards where if you held it in your hand long enough, it would sprout flowers. Like, it was like wild who
Whoa.
was there. And they said, we're going to interrupt the cocktail party and have you talk about science. And I was like, oh, that sounds awful. No one's going to want to listen to me. I don't even want to have my cocktail party interrupted to listen to me. And then he said, and the person who comes before you, he just won an Oscar award for best animated short, and then we'll have somebody else speak after you. And he is a magician. He does card tricks, but he does them while he's jumping out of a plane and parachuting, and he does these card tricks at like 15,000 feet. And I was just like, oh God, now really nobody's going to want to listen to me. But it ended up being great. It was fun. We got to wear, in my little session, we wore 3D glasses, got to show off visual illusions, and the two people on the other side of me were incredibly amazing. But I showed up early to this event, and somebody came up to talk to me, and I thought maybe it was the tech person helping to get things sorted out. It wasn't. It was just somebody else at this party who showed up early, who came to chat with me. But he jumps out of airplanes, and with a stunt team. He works for Red Bull, doing these amazing stunts that you've seen all over social media. And he does things like, jump out at 25,000 feet without a parachute and land in a net, and how is that even possible? Or, in sort of a deconstructed living room, he's sitting on a couch, he's playing Xbox from 20,000 feet in the air with this like structure around him. And how is he living through all of this?
What?
So those kinds of stories, those kinds of incredible, amazing people, how do they do what they do? How do they accomplish these cool things that they accomplish in their life? The answers to that resonate with the science that I'm sharing. So your question was what was amazing, or what were some new things?
Yeah, that was surprising through all of your research.
Right. Just how pervasive these tactics are and how much utility can be derived from them. I'm not talking about like, how do you become a mother and an academic at the same time? It's not that kind of a book.
Right.
The goal is to showcase the wide variety of human experiences and the relevance of these particular tools to so many different types of people and so many different kinds of goals that you might have.